Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics, They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on BitChute, the name of my BitChute channel is Comic Freak. Today I got a story for you with this article right here. The Mary Sue claims, and this is in their own words, that not only are the new Star Wars films better than the prequels, they might be better than the originals. You heard them. The Mary Sue claims that the Star Wars trilogies Disney's making is better than the originals. Let's read this article to see how the Mary Sue came to that conclusion. And another weekend, another bad take on the internet making people mad. Yesterday it was this article from CNET that made the bold claim that the new Star Wars trilogy is worse than the prequels. It's a clickbaity headline, yes, but the point the article makes that J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson have something to learn from George Lucas's abysmal work behind the camera on the prequel trilogy is just wrong. On every meaningful level, the new Star Wars films are miles better than the prequel trilogy, and in some ways they're actually better than the originals. Yeah, I said it. I see the Mary Sue's war on reason and logic is still going strong. Apparently, they think they're making great grounds in this campaign, but to me it looks like they're beginning to start failing and failing badly. Oh, wait a minute, they've always failed. Now, a lot of the criticisms of the new trilogy in the bad article is about the plot arcs and character beats of the new films, but the author's arguments rests on a very bad premise, mainly that he's talking about a trilogy that isn't complete yet. Sorry, dude, you can't criticize Rey's arc for being unfocused if you don't know where it's going. We have no idea how the new saga will end, so it's incredibly silly to compare the 3 movie arcs of the prequels or the originals to 2 movies and a trailer. He acknowledges things like the writing and acting of the new films are better, yet still sees fit to criticize plots that aren't complete. Yes, the new movie trilogy is incomplete, but The Last Jedi was still a bad movie. And The Force Awakens was, well, it was a retread of A New Hope, and I didn't enjoy that movie. And I can't imagine anyone else really enjoyed it once they realized what it really was. Just a retread of the original movie. And the critiques of the plots that are complete are bad too. The author argues that the new films have no dramatic stakes and that we don't get big deaths like Qui-Gon's in the prequels. I guess he was asleep when Han Solo got skewered in by his own son in The Force Awakens, or when Rey and Kylo unexpectedly killed the red herring big bad in The Last Jedi. He must have also dreamed up a version of The Phantom Menace where Qui-Gon, an interesting character and not a series of plot devices, who stole a child from his home and left his mom in slavery. He also argued that the prequels have a dramatic tension when they are, by their nature, predetermined in how they end. Come on. Qui-Gon's death was more dramatic. It was certainly better than Han Solo's death, who shouldn't have gotten killed by his own son. Han Solo's death was ordered by Disney because they wanted to get rid of the character, because they wanted to make Star Wars their property, and the best way to do that was get rid of the original characters, the characters that everyone actually loved, and then give us these Disney characters that nobody has been able to actually even like. And this is why the movies are failing. Let's get back to this article, shall we? It's all bad faith, straw man fallacies. The comparisons in the article reek of fanboy rage about how Star Wars is different now, and it shows in the shallowness of the arguments and accusations that the prequels bypassed the new trilogy in any way. The prequel trilogy were essentially a bad fanfic made independently by a man who didn't care about emotion, plot, or impact. They were boring 2-hour-long toy commercials with wooden dialogue, terrible acting that used nascent CGI and digital technology to place characters in environments where they looked as lifeless and fake as possible. Geez, it sounds like she's describing Disney's Star Wars movies, because they are toy commercials, and they don't have, well, plot or emotion in them. No, they're really just nothing but bad fanfics themselves. I know this because I have read fanfiction, and a lot of fanfiction is better than what I've saw in the new Star Wars Disney movies. So I'll just leave there and go back to the article. The new Star Wars films, including Rogue One and Solo, get back to the solid, real filmmaking and fun, complex characters that made the first Star Wars trilogy great. And instead of sucking the life out of the myth and mystery of the originals, the way the prequels do, they all improve on it. The characters in the original trilogy and movie made for kids, as Freddie Prinze Jr. just reminded us, are literal archetypes straight out of a Joseph Campbell. They're great, but ultimately simple, and that's fine. But the characters in these new films are far more complex and interesting. Even the old characters have grown up and advanced in complexity. Everyone in the new films is more morally ambiguous and rebellious, one might say better. Ugh. What a load. And bull, just complete bull. How do they improve Star Wars? Mary Sue's, like Rey, don't bring anything to the table because she's unbeatable and she's good and she's a whammon, and it's just bad. And they're not majority white and male. Yes, we're going there. The diversity and progressive ideals of the new Star Wars films place them miles above the originals and the prequels. There's more than one woman. There's more than one person of color. Those women and people of color have agency and don't just die of a broken heart or serve as plot devices or love interests. The whole point of the new trilogy is how important a diverse and democratic force is. Okay, did this woman not see any of the original trilogy? Lando Calrissian was one of the most important characters in Star Wars. He ran Sky City. Yes, he betrayed Han Solo, but he did end up saving him and his friends in the end. Because Lando Calrissian was a great character, and he ended up blowing up the second Death Star, because that's how awesome Lando is. And you make it sound like no minority in the original movies or prequels did anything. And that's a bold-faced lie, lady. Now let's see what else the writer has to say. Nostalgia is very kind to the original Star Wars trilogy. It's kind to everything, but we can love something, and believe me, I do love the old films and appreciate its flaws. Nostalgia, however, has never been kind to the prequels. There has to be some sort of fandom Stockholm syndrome at work for a discerning viewer to think that the basic filmmaking of the new movies isn't better than anything that's come in the past, but it's probably just the same anger we see from all sorts of Star Wars fans when they're confronted by the fact that this franchise doesn't belong to little white boys anymore. You say you love the old films, but you don't mention anything about them that actually happened. You don't mention Lando. You don't mention how awesome Leia is. You only say that she's only one woman in the entire movie series. Big hairy stinking deal. We only needed one Leia Organa. And that was enough because George Lucas wrote her to be awesome, and that's all that movie really needed. It didn't need a bunch of minority characters doing nothing really good for the film and its story. Not what you would want to do with Star Wars. Just as the Force belongs to everyone, just like the boring myths and rules of the old Jedi Order had to be destroyed, and this perfectly describes what you want to do to Star Wars, and that's why you must be fought. Let's finish this article. So too does the idea that George Lucas was some misunderstood genius whose prequel trilogy was anything but an ego trip that misunderstood everything that was great about his first film. Lucas got lucky with the Star Wars and continued to be lucky when he worked with other directors on Empire and Return of the Jedi. But it was J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, and perhaps most importantly Kathleen Kennedy that got what worked in Star Wars and improved it, diversified it, and democratized it. Their films weren't made just to sell toys or tell dry and moving backstory. They made films to inspire audiences, all audiences, and that's why, by my reckoning, they're better than anything that came before. Oh my God, you're describing the original trilogy, not the Disney movies. That's precisely what the original trilogy was, lady. The new Disney movies, these Star Wars movies that Disney is making, they're not anything like what you just described. They're just horrible. And you prove that no one should listen to the Mary Sue at all, because all of you are agenda-driven, brainwashed slugs. Probably with actual slugs in your brains, because something must be moving your bodies, but I don't think it is actually a human brain. Now, if you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube is going around unsubscribing people So make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you have not subscribed, please subscribe to me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Then go over to BitChute and subscribe to my BitChute channel, Comic Freak. Hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. And could you please share this video, share it on Twitter, and share it on Facebook. Share it anywhere you think it would do the most good, because YouTube is not going around promoting their YouTube creators anymore, and it would really help me if you could please share this video. It's plug-in time. Keep checking back in future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book, Scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.